power of the day decide to take such a call, they know how it's going to favor them, because it's always about political implications.
Yeah. Because I think, Onyango comes from the north, and Museveni's vote is, Onyango is coming from the Acholi, Lango, Karamajong areas in the northern of Uganda. And that's where also Okello comes from. So Okello is their star boy right now, and they needed Onyango back so that they can galvanize the vote.
You were mentioning of Okello. Yesterday, when watching Uganda, I was so surprised that he was played as a defensive midfielder.
That was
alongside,
not yesterday, the day before.
Alan Okello.
Yes, played actually as a
defensive midfielder.
Yes, alongside the Capradosi.
Where was Khalid Aucho?
Khalid Aucho played actually as a midfielder. Khalid Aucho, Mukwala, and Rogers Mato. They play like an offensive midfielder.
But Khalid is much better at the back.
I necessarily doesn't know what
the tactics the coach employing that, because I know Okello as a creative midfielder.
He's very good at
he knows how to move the ball around, holding the balls to the advantage of their colleagues, and also knowing when to release that ball at a very prime time. So yesterday, seeing him being fielded just
in front of the defense.
That is on Thursday.
In front of the defense.
Yeah, on Thursday, I was so surprised how that really worked. And if it worked well for them, they ended winning the match. Maybe the tactics works for them.
I think the coach deployed a 4-3-3 formation, whereby he just spoken clearly that he had Okello, Coprado, and then Aucho.
At the back.
They were shielding the back four. The back four. And then in front we had Mato and Sese Muga and then Mukwala. Yes. So that is how the formation happened for the Uganda Cranes. Fortunately, yes, they got the win. But as Cedric has put it,
I would prefer Okello at a 10.
Yeah, should have been at least at the...
A 10 or an 8.
Or a wing, any side of the wing.
Yeah. Because he's pacey, he has the skills, his technical ability on the ball is very good.
And that creativity actually pulls the defense away from their comfort spaces, creating some loopholes for an offensive team to attack.
And I think, it is that fielding that made him also maybe get substituted quite early. That is in 70th minute. Playing it out of position.
Completely out of position.
Asking for him. And then, their responsibilities.
Defensive midfield is a lot of work.
And the good thing with how Ugandan technical bench has actually been doing vis-a-vis our Kenyan, watching them, they have not had a reliance on the Chan squad. Apart from Okello and Jude Mugabi, the rest of the players actually have been foreign-based players. And you ask them, at some point I happened to interact with them on my social handles, what they were telling me is that the Chan was a young squad. And a young squad that cannot really withstand the magnitude of a World Cup qualifier, given the teams that Uganda were to face.
Yeah, which is true. But remember also, in our Chan squad here, they performed very well. Someone like Onyango, our midfielder, I think is one of the finest midfielders. That Chan squad exposes talent. And if there's a player who would have been playing, apart from Omija internationally, I think people would have snapped Onyango because he played very well in that quality.
Onyango had his own injury, right?
Yeah, currently he has sustained an injury. That's why he didn't even play against Burundi. But the coach just had him, and maybe he might show up against.
But is a quality that he wouldn't actually have turned down the offer that came calling for him. Because I remember even our game against Gambia. At some point, rumor has it that Yakubu Minteh, and actually it has come from him. At some point, Yakubu Minteh actually approached him and told him that you are not preferably be playing into this particular league of yours. You deserve to be elsewhere. And that tells you the challenge that he faced when he came one-on-one with Alpha Onyango in that particular midfield. He was testing a quality that he did not really expect in that midfield.
But Kenyan players have always had that thing. If you ask George Weah, when he played against the Gor side, he said he's never faced a quality player like George Onyango Fundi, he said. And if you ask the Ndolvu of Zimbabwe, when he went, he said he's never faced a quality player like Mulamba. You understand that Kenya has always had people who could play in Europe My problem is, do we lack structure to take these players to the leagues they're supposed to play? Mulamba was fantastic.
But Nani, CEO, you know the problem that I have had for all those years that I have followed our league? We have heavily invested in midfield. We sell more midfielders than any other department in our league. So as to say, if you were to call back our professional player, the majority of our players are in midfield, not necessarily defense or the striking department. We need actually to shift our kind of structure and how we sell our players so that we start selling all other avenues of within that particular pitch.
But even
you manage to sell more strikers, you are creating an avenue, a host of players that can come and bag goals for you. Currently, we enjoy playing Ogama alongside Olunga simply because we have now two strikers. Initially, Olunga could play alone.
But listen, but listen, you see, when you say we've been selling midfielders, and the best midfielders, we never sold them. Like Mulamba would have played in Germany.
John Moore.
No, Mulamba was better than John Moore 10 times. George Fundi Onyango was something else.
I think, CEO, to some extent, there's something called football education and the mentality that these players have in their brains, whereby some of them are not ready to go and try in those uncharted waters. They're so comfortable at home. When you try to engage them at town, there's an opportunity abroad. Can you go and try and chase your dreams there? It feels like things are so tough there, and also the professionalism being carried out there.
Of course, that's an issue.
To that level. Because here at home, you train once or twice a day. After that, you go to a joint in the mta, you enjoy 1, 2, 3, and then you lose the form again. You know, when you go to Europe or any professional club, definitely those will be restricted because you'll be monitored. And any case of a discipline, you'll be
correct.
Your contract will be terminated. So that is one of the things maybe trying to make it so difficult for some of the players to go abroad. I understand even there's a certain player who suffered an injury or something like that, and who plays abroad, but due to some indiscipline issues, you know, he has been forced to switch clubs. And that came due to there's a moment he came into Kenya, he engaged into drinking spree, things happen weird. And then
Rogers, you're even going far. We have a scenario whereby we are told that a player went to Europe and just learned some few dialects of the Europe. Thereafter, he closing his now, he started actually using them, the abusive part of it. On the plan, he was suspended. Not to mention them, but we know them. So the discipline aspect of our Kenyan player has been costing us at a certain level. And that's how you say the fear of them actually being competitive when it's outside our boundary and becoming the Amad Diallo. That is training for your team.
The super Ahmad.
Yes, becoming the Adingra that they are going to face. When will we stop celebrating the players, the names of the players of the team that we are facing? You know, when it comes to World Cup qualifier, and what I've just learned, our players, they do celebrate meeting these players simply because of the name that they have attained up there. But they don't think of them going to that level so that they can be celebrated.
Okay.
To be a professional player, it costs a lot.
Yeah, it needs a lot of sacrifice, dedication.
You just can't wake up today and want to become a professional player.
But there is a time when Kenya, and also that's why some points when I'm talking actually my aspect back to the federation that we have had, the consistent nature of our federation has been has been costing us. If the federation that was there in 2004 was to maintain that kind of aspect moving forward, would have been far by now. Simply because in 2004, we had some level of professionalism in that particular team. Remember, when the likes of Mulama was playing, was applying Oliech with the ball, the likes of, if I just mentioned, Sef Mutie, that particular defense, though he played with an injury, if I remember Morsu Ambua in that particular team, who are playing in that particular level, and they would supply.
Why are you not mentioning my super midfielder from Isili?
John Barres did not play in 2004.
No, the Isili guy.
Who?
Eric? No, not Eric Cantona.
Cantona also was not there. But Eric Omondi played. Eric Omondi played.
Eric played.
Otieno.
Yeah,
he played in 2004. You know the quality that we had in 2004. And that memory is still fresh.
And Jamal, I'm talking Jamal Malo.
Yeah, Jamal, yeah.
No, it was in the 2004 squad.
He wasn't in 2004. Malo is in which one?
No, he wasn't.
But Jamal, they did not play in 2000. In 2004, Jamal did not play.
But Malo was one of the finest.
We had John Barasa played in 2004. I remember him partnering very well.
The likes of Suleiman Rashid.
Abdul Kadir Galigalo. Yeah, in that particular. And the team, you would love him to enjoy, whereby you lose, but you lose honorably.
Yeah,
we played against Burkina Faso, and I remember very well, Kenya beat Burkina Faso by 3-2, right?
Yeah.
And they played very good soccer. If we were to build from that team moving forward, currently we would be speaking of the Kenya as in the Nigeria in Kenya, or maybe the Senegal in Kenya. But because we had structures that were really ushering out players that we really necessarily require.
But Sedo, you are just saying 2004, but even during the Hedmond Cruz, the German coach, the first one to bring the youth system in.
Reinhard Fabisch.
No, before Reinhard. The first one.
The centers, I can't remember the name. What was the name of those centers? The youth centers across the country.
Actually, is much better.
We shot ourselves in the foot long time ago.
Yeah.
If those structures were maintained, those centers were maintained, that were being managed with people like the late, I think, Makoha.
Yes, he was in charge of Nakuru.
Yeah, I think we'll be talking totally different things up to now, because back then, Kenya was a footballing nation. It was a superhouse in Africa.
Yeah.
They were challenging against the best.
At that time, we would qualify out of the 8 teams for AFCON. We were always there.
Yeah.
But they come to remember it, AFCON qualification was so tight to an extent.
And there was only 8 teams, and Kenya was among the top 8 in Africa.
Yeah, and even when it was ballooned to 16, we could still qualify. I remember in 1993 when I was still a toddler, I may say, and that's why I've come to love the likes of Mikwech and John Busolo. And even Michael Coach by that time was so young.
Yeah.
He got a penalty against Senegal and he scored for us. Yeah. But we could still match the likes of Senegal. Senegal could not actually come and run over us.
They couldn't beat us.
Even our Senegal, in our pool play, Senegal played the Ivory Coast, but the match, we could give them a run for their money.
But you're saying even our clubs, listen, even Gor Mahia in 79, they reached Africa Cup of Nations final in 79.
Yes.
And that team, remember that time when AFC Leopards were in the semis and the quarters, all through, we were in Africa Cup, we were the main teams. Our teams were not going. Nowadays, we can't even go to the proper group stages.
You struggle. Somali comes in Kenya and beats our police 2-0.
Which is a nonsensical thing, because
people need to be whipped, because that is not should be normalized. Looking at how even if the monies that has been thrown around currently compared to those yesteryears, actually
we can't allow that underperformance. But for a fact, police underperformed in their first match.
Etoile Sahel is coming here very soon, and is coming with our very own, I think, is Omija. Yeah. And they are playing the Nairobi United.
Yeah.
So as to say, that will be a litmus test into some of our club that are representing us on a continental stature.
Yeah, but gentlemen, I think we've talked much about East Africa, and we can go on for a very long time. I wanted us to, because of time, and I know Roji is also yearning to rush somewhere else, I wanted us to look at the qualifiers. Look at the European and the CONCACAF, the South American qualifiers at once. But before we move there, let me give a shout out to some guys who wameandika messages mingi hapa. Peter Wagashosho Kigumo pamoja. Peter Wagashosho Kigumo uko ndani. Jonathan Kadenge Jona 1.2.5 Tinderet is crystal clear. Asante sana Tinderet, you're listening to us and we appreciate you. Caleb Matiambai, show is on fire. Gentlemen, people like what you're saying on the show, so they're saying the show is on fire. Let me just give a quick shout out to the following: Brian Otieno, Saddam Katel, Peter Wagashosho, John Kenyajui, Shaggy Thedon, Chesir, Brian Wycliffe Wiki, Jonathan Kadenge, Jeff Kims, Timothy Mwendwa, Spencer Kemboi, and Caleb Matimbai. Asante sana for joining us on the show. It is none other than, but it's called The Pitch Side with myself, C.E.O. Charles Otieno, Roger Seshitemi, and, of course, Cedric Msumba. So, gentlemen, let's dig deep into the world of qualifiers. Europe. And okay, let's start with Brazil. Which teams have there were South Americans who have qualified Rogi, and then we come to Europe, and C.E.O tells us about Europe.
Of course, in South America, or rather America, I think you have Brazil. The likes of Brazil are through.
The first team is, of course, must be
Argentina, Brazil. Which other team are through here?
Ecuador.
Colombia must be through.
Ecuador.
And Uruguay.
Even Bolivia.
Yeah, that was early qualification for them. Let me just check it out here. There's Ecuador, Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, and then Argentina.
Uruguay
is in.
Yeah.
Together with Paraguay.
Yeah,
all of them are through. And then, of course, on the Oceanic, it's called Oceanic. Island, Icelandic. New Zealand are through. So maybe C.E.O, what about the Europe? Of course, Europe, the qualification is still on.
They are still on.
So yesterday, just to give C.E.O a better analysis, Germany defeated Luxembourg in Group A 4-0. Northern Ireland also defeated Slovakia 2-0. That's Group A. In Group B yesterday, Kosovo defeated Slovenia. No, they drew with Slovenia 0-0. Sweden were defeated by Switzerland 2-0 in Group B. In Group D, of course, France defeated Azerbaijan 3-0, and Ukraine defeated Iceland 5-3. And of course, Kazakhstan defeated Liechtenstein in Group J 4-0. Belgium drew with Northern Macedonia 0-0. And today there are serious matches going to be played, actually. Scotland is playing Belarus. Denmark is playing Greece. That is Group C. Group G, Netherlands is playing Finland, and Lithuania is playing Poland. In Group H, San Marino is playing Cyprus, and Romania is playing Austria. In Group L, Faroe Islands is playing Czech Republic, and Croatia is playing Gibraltar. So those are the matches for today. And remember yesterday, the other matches were played yesterday, and then I think that's the matches for tomorrow. Today, there are different matches, actually. Today, that's tomorrow. Today is Bulgaria versus Turkey, Spain versus Georgia in Group E, Hungary versus Armenia, Portugal versus Republic of Ireland. And Group I is Norway versus Israel, Estonia versus Italy. Group K, it's halftime match. It's being played, actually. It's on right now. Latvia and Andorra. It's 1-1. It's going. And Serbia versus Albania is at 7:45. So those are the matches for today and tomorrow. So what is your pick, C.E.O? You could see yesterday, when I take you back to yesterday, you can see Germans will they qualify? You know, Germans have had a very stuttering qualification. Then, of course, your favorite team, France, is cruising. I know the teams you like. France is your team. I know you very well.
I'm forcing it for him.
But it is true.
Let him take it. He can't run away from it.
He can't run from the fact.
My team is still rebuilding. It had a golden generation that did not actually win anything.
And they will never win.
Yeah,
yes.
But that one cannot win anything. You know, the politics of Belgian football is crazy. You're either Fante or French, or you're Belgian speaking, or you're German speaking.
Which is okay. We need the players who can communicate to each other intandemly to an essence that passes does not go astray. And that's what has been happening. I remember in 1982 when they were a force. They were really a force, and then something all of a sudden collapsed. They went missing, they have been restructuring, and now they have come back with a force. They actually been challenging the top 4 in the world. And at some point, even they were number 1 at the world. They stayed for number 1 for a very long period of time.
You can be number 1, but without a trophy, it counts to nothing, C.E.O.
Yeah, that was the generation that has really expired without winning anything. The KDBs, the Lukakus, the Munier, Hazard. But, and again, they have gone back to the drawing board, and they have started assembling a squad that can really win them something. And they're playing equally a good soccer. yesterday they drew, and I think the result are there. They play Northern Macedonia. Where
now ask yourself, how
where your former coach came from.
Which former coach?
He had won zero matches.
The Firat actually won nothing for Kenya.
You wanted to say something, now I've just gotten you. With your former coach, who won you? Actually, he did very well. We played high-profile matches.
Who?
He picked some draw against Russia. Yes. You cannot compare Kenya with Russia.
You are forcing me to sip some water here.
We played also Iran. Remember how we played against Iran? Iran were in World Cup, right?
Roger, Cedric, how are you, Cedric?
Don't sweep everything below the carpet.
Thank you, Cedric.
Give credit where it's due.
So you can play. You can play under 19. Listen, you can play under 19, and it's Manchester United.
No,
and people will say it's Manchester United.
Against Iran, we played a senior team.
Yeah, but
Mediterranean was in, right?
Who else was there apart from Teremi?
Almuz, it's called Almuz.
Ayuz.
Yes, were there. And we played very well against Iran. That is when I started believing that Arambesta can really go to World Cup. But it did not come to fall.
They played those matches and won when it doesn't matter. When it mattered. Actually, let's just bring this to perspective, Cedric. If we had Benny McCarthy starting this campaign with the team, at least will be somewhere right now.
At that particular point. I agree.
Yeah, because just look at how those margins have been reduced based on what has been doing, short time, getting player right and left.
Absolutely.
But, we gambled. The same scenario we gambled with was it 2022 AFCON qualifiers, or which was it? Again, also a gamble whereby we Francis Kimanzi was sideline, and then we brought in Jacob Gosmule for Harambee Stars, and that's when we lost it to, was it Comoros? We lost that chance to go to AFCON after the 2019 AFCON in Egypt. So I think some missteps in technical bench issues.
I totally agree with you, and I think people who have not been following our soccer were so surprised yesterday when Gambia played against Gabon. The Gabon coach actually came out strongly talking about our defensive lapses, and strongly he was mentioning the goalkeeping department. He strongly talked about our goalkeeping, but we have had issues with our goalkeeping department. That's what has been costing the Kenya national team. He did not mention what necessarily happened, but we all have answers on our fingertips.
Yeah, absolutely.
The goalkeeping department was allowing in cheap goals against Iran. We saw what happened when we were ahead, a game that we were supposed to win. Hands actually became hollow, and the goals were coming in.
But you know the goalkeeper.
Even the Cameroon game.
You know that goalkeeper. I will not name names.
So if the outside world can speak and talk about it, it means that the research before even the players that they used to do about us was really paying the need for them. And it's something that we need to be picking from such kind of sentiments. If somebody comes a foreigner to our country and speaks truth to us, we need to pick that truth and work on it. So as to say, the Europe, when I was talking about one of the best, the recent best team in the world.
Which one?
You people interjected me.
Belgium. Belgium are underachievers. They are perpetual underachievers.
What will they win?
Perpetual underachievers.
They have everything. They have every talent.
You don't want me to start tracing and reminding you what the Belgians has done.
What have
the world of soccer?
What have they done? Sometimes. You must be honest to yourself.
Yes.
In this show, you must be honest to yourself.
It is point blank.
Yeah.
Rogers, we are live to this, and we followed this match with you.
Yes.
It's only that the CEO we were watching. CEO was watching with emotion.
Which match I was watching with emotion?
In 2000 and
which one? Which match?
2018. When his team Brazil was being actually hosted out of the tournament. Yeah. Belgium was sailing through smoothly. Remember very well. They played against Japan, and their comeback was one of the best ever in World Cup. But 2 goals down, but they really came back at the dying minutes of the match, and they won it.
Listen, Sedo,
they went all the way into the semi-final.
Sedo, I'm not cutting you short. I'm just informing you that we expected Belgium to win that World Cup because they were the best team, number one for a long time, with the most quality players on the field.
Fair enough, CEO. And I think when people expect Belgium to win, it's because of the target that they have amassed by that particular time, the so-called golden generation. That generation was so gold enough, actually, to give them result, which did not come. What people does not really understand very well, that at any given time, you being tagged to that high level of aspects, you really create so many enemies, and they start working against your downfalls. So as to say, in Africa, if I may mirror to whatever we are discussing, Morocco has had a very golden generation for a very long period of time. True or false? No, this Morocco we are talking about. Mm-hmm. But that generation has not won Africa Cup of Nations until this that is coming in December is what they are thinking, and I'm quite certain that they will not even win that. Simply because when you are a generation, every team comes for you. They come knowing that you are force, and they play with a purpose. Failure just to capitalize on something, you go down. The same thing has happened actually to Brazil since 2002. All the generation that
Brazil has not had a golden generation.
No, not a golden, but they have had a glimpse of players that were capable to win them trophies.
No, they've always had one. They have just had one player.
Name about Neymar. You see, it has had all those players that have gone without winning.
You see, the difference between the Brazilian team and this Belgian team, before we bring Roger into this discussion, is that Brazilians have always had a team. But from post 2002, Brazilians have had a squad of one or two beautiful players and others who are escorting them. But Brazil as a team, if you look to 1990s, 94, they were Carecas, the Alimao, it's a team. All of them played in their soccer in South America and came, but they were a team. They were Samba magicians coming to lift World Cup. So that's the difference.
What did they lack in 2006?
Which team was there in 2006?
Brazil, they had the likes of Kaká, even Ronaldinho was still there in 2006. They had the likes of Maicon in that particular squad.
But you can just pick two. Maicon was not a quality player that much.
But he still did not go ahead and win.
Brazilians have to change their format. And I've always said that the Brazilians' biggest problem is to heavily dependent on the European football, which is their demise. The Brazilians should go back to their roots. They play what we call football arte.
Not necessarily the European, but heavily depending on the EPL players.
Yes, which is wrong.
EPL players who have been commercialized and given the qualities that does not really match their current form. And with the digital aspect, players actually are named to their national team depending on how they have been tormented into their leagues. If a player is talked about, even necessarily if it doesn't meet certain qualities that you are looking for, that player will not end up actually missing out from the list for a team that is being represented you. And that has been
for sure. If you look at the Brazil team which will go to the World Cup, and I'll tell you, number one, the biggest conversation will be Neymar must be in that squad. And then I can assure you that Casemiro, who has no legs, will be in that midfield.
He's back. Yesterday he played and they won. I think they beat South Korea with 5 goals.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, in the main squad which will go for the World Cup next year, Casemiro will be 36.
But right now, I think something has happened. Something good has happened to that team.
But he doesn't have legs.
They have gotten...
Where are the legs?
They're tired.
They have gotten a tactician that knows how to field, to match between young and old players. And we have seen actually his record does not deceive him. He has done that to Real Madrid, which has gone ahead and win UEFA.
Yeah.
And if that is to continue vis-a-vis what I saw them doing yesterday, he played very young player, the likes of Estavao, in that particular, alongside the likes of Casemiro in that midfield. And they played very wonderful match yesterday.
Ancelotti used to play 37-year-old Luka Modric in the holding midfield role for the Merengues.
Yes.
And still play a younger midfielder in Chumeni.
Yes.
Or the other young boy.
Valverde. At that particular time, yes.
But he could still play Toni Kroos, who is also 35.
Yes.
And he was balancing the equation.
Produce results.
Experience and youthful players.
Which is a good thing for Brazil. They have gotten a tactician. If given that space to really experiment what he knows best, they can still go ahead to World Cup and really give us a
surprise.
Yeah. And mentioning on that, still on Europe, I get some privilege of watching one of another favorite team that I do follow in Europe. And again, it has never won. Portugal. But it has been... No.
Spain. Even
no. Since 1998, it had a player called Devosuka. I know if I mention that, you remember very well.
Croatia, they came so close a few years ago. They were winning something.
Devosuka.
They played soccer that... it reached a point whereby, and I remember Rogers and... Robinson at some point, they used to call them the dying generation, old age.
The Embasava.
But that Embasava age has again been swept away. They have some youngsters in that team.
But Embasava, who are the young people in Embasava, that team? Embasava with that bad uniform of theirs,
they are playing.
So Croatia has the worst uniform. It's Embasava Matatu. Completely.
You call it the worst
uniform.
Anyway, let me take you back for a minute. You spoke about the golden generation, but I've been sitting and thinking about the golden generation that they have never won. But for me, the France team of 1998, that for me looked like a golden generation. And they went on and won that tournament. So looking the legs of Zidane, the legs of
Lilian
Thuram, Desailly, the legs of Thierry, Lizarazu, all those players, I feel maybe they were so talented.
What happened to them come 2002? Just remind our audience.
You can't win back to back.
Yeah? No, leave alone even winning back to back. But they met a very young team in that tournament. What happened to them? No.
They were swept aside.
Kindly remind us. I know your brains are still fresh into this.
You're trying to run away from this.
What happened to France in 2002? Immediately,
it was of
after
course
that,
Senegal did their thing.
Thank you.
Let me hold your thought on that. Let me hold your thought, because he was debating about the golden generation. That this generation can't win, but it is. They came and did.
That's a 1 in a million. Not all golden generation actually go ahead to win. We have had so many. Even England has had so many golden generation, including
that's the recent. Don't tell us about England. That's media hype. That's English press. So you want to tell us English press that they dub everything, they are going to win the World Cup and it's a golden generation?
Even our Ivory Coast, let's now go back to in 2010 they had a golden generation that actually was marred by the likes of Didier Drogba, Solomon Kalou. If you remember very well, that was a generation to win them even Africa Cup of Nations, but it did not materialize.
My favorite player in that squad was
the necessary golden generation struggles. And it doesn't struggle because of their wish. Because these other teams, they know very well you are a golden generation. They always come in to frustrate you.
No, you have missed a very big point, which is egos.
Egos also.
Because egos play a key role in this golden generations. Because, Cedric, you are a superstar. You play for Real Madrid. I am a superstar. I play for Manchester. C.E.O is a superstar. He plays for Arsenal. So there's no way you can tell me something on the pitch. There's no way C.E.O can listen to you on the pitch. True. So whatever I decide on the pitch, it is me. I'm a star.
True.
So I'll do my thing there. When we win, well and good. When we lose,
it's okay.
Carry your burden.
I totally agree with you.
So the French golden generation came after, who had left the team, who had been fired? The king himself, Eric Cantona. Eric Cantona was the number 10 for France.
Yes.
And at that time is when Zidane was coming up. Mm-hmm. So, Cantona and his brain. Cantona was always a maverick. I don't know, he abused the coach. He slapped the coach. He was kicked out of the team. And that's how this generation came up. Remember, he was with Ginola in that team, David Ginola. Mm-hmm. They were the main strikers, the main stars of the team. Then all these guys, Kina Trezeguet came, people who now started coming in. Mm-hmm. And that's how they developed a whole new generation. Kina Didier Deschamps and the rest of the team.
And they have been consistent all along. They have been playing with a purpose, and they have been actually churning out young generation that are equally yearning to give them the service that they offered before. So as to say, France is still a threat, even right now as we speak. So them playing final against Argentina.
But Spain? Spain is a threat, gentlemen.
No, France has qualities. If you talk about qualities out there, France has qualities.
Who watched that game between them? You watched Rogi. Spain versus
England final.
No. Just the other day. Spain versus France. It was a very interesting match.
Yeah.
I think age factor comes in, and you see Spain have more youthful players in the squad. And that's a squad that's going to destroy the opposition for a very long period
time
compared to French side, which also has some aging players. And those players playing together, of course, yeah, I know you are trying to wink that eye, but it's a fact. Yeah, it is a fact.
It's a fact, man.
It is a fact.
French has equally young players, very young players, and we see some of those players all over in Europe. Talk about Desiree Doué, very young player. Bradley Bakole, very young player. You want me to go on and mention Mayulu?
No,
very young player.
No debate about that.
It's not, we're not
actually, French first 11, you can actually assemble young player from goalkeeping to number 11. Very young player.
So what are you trying to tell us? Yet, and Rogi is saying that if you look at the Spain side, the Spaniards, they also have equally young players.
Thank you.
Throughout. And the dark horses are the Portuguese.
Yeah.
Or you don't think Portugal are the dark horses of this tournament?
Not World Cup. Portuguese has had a very... They have a very...
Why are you chewing your mouth?
No,
he's thinking what to bring out.
No. I'm drawing my minds back to history vis-a-vis statistics. Portugal has never had a very easy ride in World Cup, regardless of the kind of player that they bring in. But in Europe, yes, they know how to walk around Europe and win it. But if it comes to World Cup stage, that stage has been big for Portugal actually to torment, regardless of the kind of player and bringing. Cristiano Ronaldo is now almost retiring without tormenting any team in that particular level.
We are not talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. We are talking about a team which has been there together for quite a while.
A game of a tournament, what also we are missing out, it's so tactical. And a game of tournament also depends on how the technical bench assemble their squad. Remember the France that played the final in 2022 World Cup final against Argentina? Mm-hmm. It was a better team to win that tournament, if you ask me, how they played. Mm-hmm. But because of the tactical nature of Argentina ended up winning it. France tried to come back very strongly at the tail end of the game, but it was too late for them to recover. Okay. When Argentina had already done the damage.
And now it's going to take them a long time for them to reach that final line.
I agree.
Because, that mental torture,
I agree,
it is still there. Even when Mbappe will be going to next year's competition, of course, he'll be feeling like, I came so close. We never knew you were going that close. They came there maybe as just outsiders of the tournament, but they pushed themselves
to the
final. Yeah. So definitely, I don't know how they're going to maybe compose themselves and go back to America and maybe try to do wonders.
Gentlemen, I think we've discussed this issue very well. And I think we go for a short break. And of course, when we come back, later, we bring the house down with the last predictions and the games for tomorrow. And we see who qualifies from Europe. We name the teams. And then we call it a day, because our time, when you're having a beautiful discussion, you don't know how the time is rushing, but the time is actually not on our side. So let's have a short break. Let's have a bit of music. DJ Charmin on the 1 and 2s, and then we come back. We wind up the conversation.